Welcome to a Procure Tribe presentation. My name is Tracy and I'm delighted to be your host as we go through our third chapter of the Strategic Sourcing series, Developing the Sourcing Strategy. In Chapter 1, we gained an understanding of the business requirements. In Chapter 2, we researched the supply market and gained insights related to participants, their capabilities, and the industry market forces. All that hard work in the previous two steps of the sourcing process now allows us to formulate a successful sourcing strategy. In this chapter, we will be discussing why we need a sourcing strategy, how we use the findings from the spend analysis and the supply market research to identify opportunities and risks, and then we'll step through the various elements that make up a good strategy. The sourcing strategy serves a very important role. It's an opportunity for us to put our findings, ideas, and recommendations down on paper. Once the draft strategy is complete, we will be able to share it with internal stakeholders and gather their ideas for potential improvement. In our strategy, we articulate the potential business benefits we are striving to deliver. This information will help key stakeholders buy into our recommendations and support us through our process of delivering superior financial performance. Our strategy has a plan for obtaining the desired outcomes. What is going to be the sourcing process? What is the expected timeline? Who needs to be involved, and what part are they going to play? What risks could hinder the plan? The strategy clarifies the objectives and crystallizes it in our minds to enable discussion with decision makers. We don't want to go through an entire process only to be told that our achieved outcomes are not actually aligned with the business objectives. Be sure to secure endorsement of the strategy from respective stakeholders. Our documented sourcing strategy allows us to capture new ideas, estimate business benefits, plan our process, provide clarity on our objectives, and secure endorsement from senior leadership. Using the knowledge of our business requirements and the supply market capability, we can begin to articulate the risks and the opportunities. Let's start with the opportunities. It is recommended that a simple list be created. Once listed, we can categorize and assess the potential value for each, the probability of achievement, and start to form a view on which opportunities we should pursue. The results of this assessment lay the foundations for our business case in support of our recommended sourcing strategy. The assessment of risks is also best done by simply creating a list, evaluating the probability and impact of each one, and developing mitigating actions where necessary for consideration in the sourcing strategy. We suggest utilizing the organization's existing risk assessment framework, if available, to ensure consistency in methodology. There are a few tips that I'd like to share to help improve the overall quality of assessments. Both should preferably be completed by multiple stakeholders so that we are able to capture a diverse range of views. Our assessment should be forward-looking and consider both the short-term and the long-term requirements of the business and prepare for potential changes in the supply market. Ideally, we want to be able to deliver significant cost savings. However, protecting the business against risk is an equally valid strategy. We encourage a robust and rigorous determination of potential value because senior leadership will be endorsing our strategy based on our forecasted business benefits. The sourcing strategy must absolutely align to the overall business strategy. We are now ready to discuss the content of a typical sourcing strategy paper. Every sourcing strategy is different, and not all strategy papers need to be detailed. The level of detail depends on the audience, how knowledgeable they are, and how much time we have to get our message across. For the purpose of this training session, we will introduce what we see as best practice. This should provide a suitable template for any strategy, and it is always easier to adjust the structure to suit a particular situation. We will also showcase a one-page strategy template, ideal for presenting to time-poor executives. A good starting point is to introduce the purpose of the strategy document and to define this category of spend we plan to source. Let's use the tire category from Chapter 2 to demonstrate an example. Our purpose in preparing the strategy document is to secure leadership endorsement for the tires sourcing strategy. It includes the purchase of tires for both heavy and light mobile equipment and has an expected spend of approximately $20 million per year across all Australian operations. Providing a detailed view of the category expenditure often gets the attention of executives, as they are seldom exposed to the numerous ways that we as sourcing professionals analyze spend. We must leverage the work carried out in the spend analysis to display the expenditure by operation, by supplier, over time, or by any other view best suited to supporting our objectives. It is important to provide data-driven insights substantiated with graphs. Insights include information such as spending trends, buying patterns, and changes in supplier market share. Results of supplier market research also gets the attention of executives, particularly when we compare the value of our business relative to other customers or introduce previously unknown sources of supply. We want to use the information gathered in our Porter 5 Forces analysis to show our power in the marketplace, as well as insights from our supplier differentiation analysis, the value chain mapping, and any specific details around the price rate breakdown. We provide a detailed understanding of the business requirements to the leadership team, as this allows them to offer guidance and enables us to cater for additional considerations in our sourcing strategy. For example, there may be a change in demand volumes due to an unannounced plan to restructure the business operations. It is critical to include the recommended tender evaluation criteria and weightings in this section for endorsement, as it will partly govern the assessment of submitted tenders. Our research and curiosity is rewarded when we are able to detail and quantify the business benefits we plan to deliver as a result of our sourcing event. We include both the opportunities and the risks, and again, we want to seek guidance from senior leadership on the areas for focus. We should make the most of this interaction to inspire and motivate the senior leadership around what is possible. If a number of sourcing scenarios are possible, we should highlight the pros and cons for each. It is important we put forward a preferred option to guide the leadership towards our view on the most suitable strategy to achieving the maximum value. The recommended strategy should include an implementation plan detailing the various activities, the role and responsibility of various stakeholders, and the measures of success. We should also detail the enablers of our plan, specifically the support we will require from the leadership team and the rest of the business. The sourcing event might only be one step in a much broader strategy for the spend category. If so, we should detail post-award activities recommended for delivering improved financial performance. Examples include supplier performance improvement initiatives, adoption of innovations, data collection, and reporting. The supply agreement is a critical but often forgotten component of a sourcing strategy. The existing standard terms and conditions may need some preemptive changes in preparation for the tender package to assist and expedite future negotiations. We may need to seek leadership endorsement for these changes before going to the market, as well as support with the ongoing management of the contract. Strategy papers should be comprehensive so that in the future others can read the paper and gain an appreciation for the circumstances of the day and the logic used to pursue certain objectives. For time-poor executives, there is enormous value in being able to grasp the potential business benefits and solutions contained in the plan in the minimum amount of time. This trend is what triggered us to develop a strategy paper that was no more than 2 sides of an A4 page. The intention of the front page is to provide a brief description of the spend, to immediately articulate the vision of the strategy, the expected business benefits, and then the activities required to deliver those benefits. We want to create some excitement around what is possible. On the back page, we focus on who was involved in formulating the strategy, as it is often a key requirement for executives to know that their teams had an opportunity to provide input. We also detail our recommended supplier invites, the tender evaluation criteria, the potential risks and constraints that need to be dealt with, and finally, the specific support we need from our senior leadership in order to be successful. In many ways, The sourcing strategy is our preferred tool to capture what is possible, to inspire others, and to communicate a structured approach to obtaining a better outcome for the business. Strategy papers can take on many forms, but the template we have shared is a world-class example that can be used as a solid starting point for any procurement professional. In our next chapter, Chapter 4, we will discuss the execution of the sourcing strategy. This will include building and issuing the tender, managing the bid event, evaluating submitted bids, supplier negotiations, and drafting the recommendation to award. And that brings us to the end of our Developing a Sourcing Strategy segment. Thank you for your time. I hope you have enjoyed this Procure Tribe presentation, and I am looking forward to hosting you again in future chapters.